The Judas Cradle, a notorious medieval torture device, starkly illustrates the brutality of archaic punitive measures. This device, predominantly used during the Spanish Inquisition, consisted of a pyramid-shaped seat upon which the victim would be placed. The torturous intention was for gravity to slowly impale the victim over the pointed wooden or metal top, often leading to excruciating pain and infection, given the unsanitary conditions. This was not merely a tool of physical agony, but a method aimed at psychological torment and eliciting confessions or compliance. Understanding the historical context and origins of the Judas Cradle is integral when examining the broader scope of medieval justice systems and their legacy. Such devices underscore the extremes of human cruelty and the historical intersection of religion, power, and punishment. The Judas Cradle is emblematic of the dark side of human innovation, reflecting not just advanced crafting techniques for its time, but also a complex societal structure where fear was used to maintain control. Historically, the Judas Cradle served as a grim reminder of the period's harsh punitive measures. Its mention in documented accounts of the Inquisition provides insight into the operational methods of religious and political persecution. Although specific records of its use are sparse due to the secretive nature of such proceedings, its enduring presence in the popular imagination serves as a testament to its impact. One significant example illustrating the concept is the case of supposed heretics during the Spanish Inquisition, where devices like the Judas Cradle were allegedly employed to extract confessions. Another noted instance involves accounts from European witch trials, where similar apparatuses were claimed to have been used to elicit testimonies of witchcraft. These examples highlight the methodical use of fear and suffering as tools of manipulation. The existence and described use of the Judas Cradle have garnered both historical and ethical scrutiny. Critics argue that many discussions around the device are shrouded in sensationalism, questioning the reliability of some accounts and proposing a more critical examination of historical evidence. Alternative viewpoints also suggest that such devices might be symbolic representations of wider societal fears rather than frequently used tools. This element of Inquisition-era torture reflects broader themes of authority, human rights abuses, and the evolution of justice. Its legacy compels contemporary society to reflect on the limits of punishment and the importance of humane treatment within judicial practices, connecting to ongoing debates about the ethics of torture and the protection of human dignity. The design and mechanism of the Judas Cradle refers to an infamous medieval torture device characterized by its unique and horrific method of inducing agony. At its core, the Judas Cradle consisted of a wooden or metal pyramid-shaped seat sharply pointed at the top. The victim was suspended above this seat with ropes, then gradually lowered onto the sharp point. The individual's body weight caused immense pain, designed to extract confessions or punish perceived wrongdoers through sheer torment. Its significance lies in its brutal efficiency and symbolic representation of human cruelty and Inquisition practices, contributing to the broader history of torture devices that reflect medieval society's dark aspects. In understanding this mechanism, we can turn to two historical contexts where similar practices were employed. First, during the Spanish Inquisition, various torture methods, potentially including devices like the Judas Cradle, were tools of religious coercion, illustrating the extreme lengths institutions would go to maintain doctrinal conformity. Secondly, in a broader sense, the practice of using such devices can be linked to European witch trials, where similar contraptions served as instruments of fear, designed to reinforce societal norms by making examples of individuals accused of witchcraft. Opinions on the Judas Cradle often highlight the evolution of ethical principles over time. Modern perspectives overwhelmingly condemn the device as a symbol of the extremes of human brutality and a cautionary tale of the abuses of power. However, some historical perspectives suggest that such methods were perceived as necessary evils within the context of the era's prevailing justice systems. This creates a point of controversy, as understanding the past requires navigating the moral paradigms of its time while acknowledging its inhumanity. Potential challenges in studying the Judas Cradle include distinguishing between myth and reality, as some accounts may exaggerate its use or effectiveness. Additionally, the lack of definitive historical records leaves room for debate about its actual implementation. This device's barbarity also sparks ethical discussions on the interpretation of historical torture tools. This exploration fits into the larger topic by highlighting the ingenuity and horror associated with medieval torture, reflecting on human rights evolution and impacting legal reform. The Judas Cradle serves as a grim reminder of humanity's capacity for cruelty and a benchmark against which modern societies measure progress in human rights and dignity. The Judas Cradle, also known as the seat of agony, was a gruesome device used during medieval times for torture purposes. This apparatus was designed to extract confessions or punish individuals by inflicting excruciating pain. The device consists of a pyramid-shaped seat upon which the victim was gradually lowered, typically with ropes, so that the pointed tip would apply direct pressure to sensitive areas of the body. This method exemplified the cruel practices used during the Inquisition and other events where obtaining information was pursued through terrifying means. The significance of the Judas Cradle in the context of medieval torture practices is profound. It highlights the extreme measures taken during this period to maintain social order, enforce religious orthodoxy, and demonstrate power. The use of such devices has become emblematic of a time when fear was a primary tool of governance and control, shedding light on the darker aspects of human history. One real-world application of the Judas Cradle can be observed in the Spanish Inquisition, a period infamous for its rigorous and brutal methods of punishing heresy. This era demonstrates how such tools were employed not merely for physical punishment, but also as a psychological threat to instill fear among populations. Another example is the broader context of medieval Europe, where countless devices, including the Judas Cradle, were utilized to suppress dissent and enforce conformity to religious and political norms. Opinions on the use of such instruments in historical contexts vary. Some argue that these practices were reflective of the harsh realities and societal norms of those times, claiming they were seen as necessary to safeguard collective beliefs. However, others view these methods as emblematic of human rights abuses, serving as a reminder of the dangers of unchecked authority and the dehumanization that can result from it. Controversies surrounding the Judas Cradle include debates over its actual prevalence and effectiveness. Skeptics argue that the dramatization of medieval torture has been exaggerated in historical records or later retellings to emphasize the cruelty of the past, possibly as a means of highlighting contemporary social progress. Alternative viewpoints question the morality of these actions, emphasizing the importance of understanding historical human rights violations to prevent recurrence in modern times. In relation to the broader topic of medieval torture practices, the Judas Cradle symbolizes the intersection of power, fear, and control. Its existence and use connect to broader themes of authority and psychological manipulation, influencing societal structures and cultural norms of the time. Understanding such devices helps illuminate the evolution of legal systems and underscores the importance of protecting individual rights against abuses of power. The heading Psychological and Physical Impact on Victims within the context of Judas Cradle, the seat of agony, focuses on the harrowing effects endured by individuals subjected to this medieval torture device. The Judas Cradle, known for its brutal method of slowly impaling the victim using a pyramid-shaped seat, inflicted severe pain and trauma. Physically, victims experienced substantial injuries, including tissue tearing and potential infections due to the unsanitary conditions, leading to lasting bodily harm or even death. The psychological torment was equally severe. Victims were often overwhelmed with fear and helplessness, feelings intensified by isolation and humiliation. This psychological torture could lead to long-term mental health issues, such as PTSD, depression, or anxiety disorders. Understanding the psychological and physical ramifications of such torture devices is crucial as it underscores the depths of human cruelty and the lengths institutions or regimes have historically gone to maintain power or control. This discussion highlights the broader implications of torture as a method of coercion, spreading awareness about its inhumanity and encouraging the advocacy for human rights protections. One historical example illustrating this impact is the Spanish Inquisition, where torture devices like the Judas Cradle were reportedly used to extract confessions or persecute nonconformists. Here, victims not only suffered the immediate agony inflicted by the device, but also the lasting stigma and psychological scars that fundamentally altered their lives. In modern times, while physical torture using devices like the Judas Cradle may be less prevalent, the psychological torment resonates in the narratives of those subjected to severe interrogation techniques, drawing parallels to torture's enduring legacy. Supporters of torture abolition argue vehemently against the use of any similar methods, citing moral, ethical, and humanitarian grounds. They emphasize the irreversible damage caused to individuals and society's moral fabric, advocating for transparent justice systems instead. However, the discussion of torture's psychological and physical impacts isn't without controversy. Some argue, albeit contentiously, about the necessity of harsh interrogation under extreme circumstances, a view met with widespread criticism and ethical concerns. Ultimately, the psychological and physical impact of devices like the Judas Cradle is intricately connected to broader conversations about torture's role throughout history, its moral implications, and ongoing human rights advocacy. This reflection encourages society to learn from the past and strive to uphold human dignity and justice in all forms.